Hello, my favorite. Hello, hello, my fellow Nordcrafters. Today we have a video on pagination using Supabase and Nordcraft, and today's going to be a slightly different video in the sense that I'm not going to go ahead and build this with you. I'm going to sort of walk you through what I already have and how it works. So to just show a quick demo here, I have about 500 items in Supabase, just with these random values at the end of them. And as we can see here, is as I go through the pages, those items will change even if I change the max amount of items. So if I do 50, you see we get a lot more. If I do 100, there you go. And also going to the end, there we go. Okay, so that was a quick demo. Now, how do we get this going in Nordcraft? Well, you don't have to build this exactly the way that I've built this. I'm just going to show you sort of the key components, and then you can sort of build it yourself, just following this as sort of a template. So the very key part of this is, of course, the API request, right? And in the URL and the parameters, those are normal. Where the magic starts to happen is in the headers. And the two that we have to pay attention to is the range and the prefer. So the range is going to give us a certain number of items. As you can see, this is 0 through 25, and in programming or whatever, it is 0 index, which means that 1 is actually 0. So the 0 is actually the first item. So if we see here, that should give us 25 items. And if I scroll all the way to the bottom here, you'll see that we have 25 items, even though this is 24 right here. Now, the prefer is going to give us how many items are in this request in total, basically. We can check this by going into the response. We can go into headers, and we can see right here at content range, we see first our range and the max amount that we can get. So we're currently getting 25 items out of the 500 total. Now, there's a few key players in here. So the range, I just have a few formulas. One of the key players is this get range header, which we're going to take a look at. So here are the key formulas on, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Here are the key formulas here on the right side. We're going to first start with, let's go with get start index. So get start index is going to take the current page and minus 0, because remember, in programming, it is 0 index, but in the UI, we don't want to show 0. We're going to show 1 instead of 0. So we're going to take the current page minus 0, and then we're going to multiply that by the page size being the max amount of items that we can get. So this is a 25, the 50, or the 100. Of course, your options can be different. Then that's just going to give us a number. Since this is 0 and the page size is 25, of course, anything multiplied by 0 is going to be 0. So that's going to give us that first 0-24 that we saw in the beginning. So if I go here and I go to response headers right here, that's going to give us this 0 right here. Then we need to get the end index. To get that, we're going to take our start index, and then we're going to add whatever the page size is to it, and then minus 1. So this is going to be 0. This is going to add 25, which is our current page size, and then minus 1, because remember, 0 index. So this is actually going to give us 25 items. And then the get range header, which is what's being used here, as you can see, is just a concatenation of both the get start index and the get end index. Okay, and that's what we're going to pass right here to range. Now, to get the max number of items, which is this, get the max number of pages, which is this get max pages formula, we're going to take that same response that I showed you, where it says the 0-24 out of 500. We're going to split it using the / as the delimiter. So it's going to split it right here, and it's going to give us this side. I can't highlight it. It's going to give us this side and this side. And we're going to say that we just want the last one, which is going to return us that 500. Then we just want to divide that by whatever our current page size is, and that'll give us the max amount of pages that we can have. And that is being used right here. So if I select this, you can see we are using that the get max pages right here. So those are really just the key components. And of course, you have the current page, which to start off is going to be 0. And then the page size, yeah, you can handle this however you want. My page size options is just those options that you saw earlier right here, the 25, the 50, and the 100. Now, to change these, I have a workflow called update current page that is being called when this is clicked, when this is changed, or when this button is clicked. So if I go to here and I show you the on click, it's just going to take in a value. I'll show you the workflow in a little bit, but I just want to show an example. So this is just, I can speak. This is just going to take in a value and then update the current page. Now let's take a look at the formula for this. So we can see here that we have a parameter, and it's called, I just called it value. You can call it whatever you want. And what's going to happen is we're going to check if this new value is equal. I don't have to add the number here. We're going to check if this new value is equal to the current page. Sorry, one more time. If this new value is equal to the current page value. Reason we're doing that is if I enter page 1 and we're already on page 1, I don't really want to make another API call. So that's going to prevent that from happening, because then this will be false and then it'll just do nothing. So basically, if the values are not the same, then this will run. First, we're going to set the current page to that new value. Then we're going to do another API call. Now, I can show you how I'm currently doing that. So here's the back button. Here's the formula for the back button. All we're doing is just making sure that it's not less than 1, because we don't want to go negative pages. That'll break things. So all this formula is doing is just making sure that it doesn't go less than 1. I'll give you a quick second to look at that. Pause the video if you need to. But again, remember, you'll be able to look at this yourself. And then for the add or the forward button, I don't know what you want to call it, similar thing, but this one is just making sure that we're not greater than the max pages. So you can see here, I'll just give you a second. So you'll see here that if I try to change this to like 99, it's going to put it right back to 20. Now, on the input itself, we are doing the exact same process. We're taking whatever the current value is. If they change it, because there's really 3 ways they can change it. They can change it here, or they can just type it in. So to change is the exact same sort of process. Let me zoom out. I did not mean to do that. I guess when I zoom out, it kind of breaks, but there you go. You can see the whole thing there. Okay. And it's the exact same thing for the input event. And that's basically how you accomplish pagination. But there is an extremely important part of this, and that is debounce. If you don't know what debounce is, it's basically a time limit before the API will run again. So currently, I have debounce on. To find that, you're going to go to the API request, you're going to go to advanced, and you'll find it here, debounce. I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to show you what it does. So to show you an example, if you don't have debounce and you go to quickly go through the pages, you're going to see every single time we are loading or we are requesting the API. And you might not want that. That's a lot of requests. So I just went through 18 pages because page 18 is what I wanted, but we just did so many requests, right? So what debounce does is if I go back and I change this to say 500, which is in milliseconds, I believe, pretty sure, and we try this again, you're going to see that we're not making the API request until I kind of stop. See that? And that's the difference. So you want to make sure that you have debounce. And I think that is kind of all for this video. Again, I'm going to include a link to this in the resources section of the description so that you can play with this yourself and see. I just wanted to make this quick video for you. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you want more. And I will see you guys next time.